I was reading about some urban legend stories late at night when I came across the title, The Licked Hand. But since I was getting sleepy, I put my phone down and went to sleep. I was awake with a weird sound in the middle of the night. I checked the time, and it was 1:30 a.m. At first it sounded like someone was scratching something, but then hearing it closely with full attention, it was as if something was dripping. Thinking it might be coming from any of the taps, I tried to ignore it, and still I didn't go to check on it because I was too scared. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but the sound was too disturbing. Unintentionally, my focus continued to go in that direction. The sounds of droplets falling one after another became clearer and clearer the more I focused on it. It started to feel spooky, like one of those horror movies we watch where the ghost appears and similar situations occur. Even though I didn't believe in ghosts, I wasn't brave either. Living alone in a new apartment where I had recently shifted, there were too many reasons to feel alarmed and scared, since I didn't have complete assurance of this place. It had been like this ever since I left home. Even though I would often get scared of little things, I would simply just close my eyes and act like it wasn't. I was living just fine before I met Mason, my ex-boyfriend. Guess I didn't tell you why I moved from my last apartment. It was because the two of us lived in the same apartment, and he was such a jerk that he did not once feel ashamed bringing other girls to his apartment just after our breakup. So I moved out and found a new apartment to live in. But since it had only been 2 days, I couldn't help but feel scared at every little sound. I thought if the sounds were coming from some leaky pipes, then I would just need to talk to the building owner the next morning. But for tonight, I had to endure it and get through with it no matter what. As the pit-pat of the dripping sound got louder and louder, I tightened my already wrapped blanket around me even more. The noise was getting ominous and frightening, but I was too scared to get out of the bed to find out what it was. There was one thing that I was assured about my dog sleeping under my bed, and it was her habit, so if anything were to happen, she would protect me. I wrapped a part of the blanket around my ears so they could block the terrifying dripping sound and clenched my eyes tighter to sleep. It didn't make any difference either way, but I continued doing that for another hour. At this point, the sleep was long gone from my eyes, and I was just lying on the bed with closed eyes listening to the noise which felt like the dripping was going on inside my ears. I wanted to go and check, but the feeling of being scared was overwhelming my other senses, so I stayed still. The awareness of being alone in the apartment had been highlighted to the extent that I was regretting ever leaving my home, even though they never once treated me nicely. I even regretted moving to this apartment, thinking maybe I should have stayed there and stayed ignorant of him. But then as I was thinking this, I suddenly thought of the dog under the bed. So I reached my hand toward the floor for reassurance from my dog, and after a second he licked it, making me feel a little relieved. Even though it was not enough, it was like I got a water drop to drink in a dry, hot desert. I pulled the blanket over my head and yet again tried to sleep. Another 2 hours passed, and the dripping sound hadn't stopped. Instead, it got louder and clearer, making my heart beat louder from the terrifying feeling. I thought of finally checking and stopping it from the source, so I got up hesitantly, walking slowly to where the sound was coming from. I stopped in front of the bathroom near the stairs. The dripping noise was loudest in there, so I hesitantly walked in there. But the moment I turned the light on, a scream left my throat as I fell backward. The brutally mutilated body of a dog was hanging in the shower. Half of his skin was on the floor covered in blood, and the dripping sound that was coming for hours was his blood slowly dripping onto the tiles from his body. On the bathroom mirror was badly written with the dog's blood, were the words, "Not just dogs, but humans can lick hands too." I started to feel suffocated, as if someone had stopped the breathing mechanisms from my body, and my licked hands started to burn. This was the first time that I was experiencing such a terrifying feeling, as I was about to die. My eyes started to fall backward on their own, and I tried to scream, but my voice didn't come from my throat. The bathroom started to get closer along with the dog's body, and as my consciousness gradually shifted away from me, I realized something. The only broken words that came into my mouth were, But how, when I don't even have a dog? That was when I jolted awake with a heavy panicked breath and looked around to get an understanding of the surrounding. I was inside my room. My entire body was sweating, and in my hands I had the same story opened as last night, The Licked Hand. That was when I remembered that I was going to sleep, but then I was too curious after reading the title that I opened the story and read it, but fell asleep while reading. Guess what I just had was a result of that. I guessed that it was just a nightmare. I looked at the time again. It was already 7 in the morning. I was about to get late for work. I closed my phone and put it onto the bedside table, then walked to the bathroom. As I was about to enter, the scene from the nightmare flashed in my mind, so I hesitated for a second, but then I shook my head and went in to get ready for work because I had a reality ahead. I believe my fascination of gore films stemmed from seeing my pet cat being run over when I was 10 years old. I couldn't get the image out of my mind, and for some twisted psychological reason, I coped by seeking out more blood. At least fictional ones that came with almost no real-life consequence. I don't think that I could stomach anything real, but zombie movies when they would rip out people's arms and eat them. That sounds enjoyable. I'm 18 now, and I realized that perhaps some of these movies weren't so fictional after all, and perhaps there was more to them aside from just being movies. See, to channel my interest, I started an anonymous Instagram account, a Finsta, where I did nothing but review quite extreme gore horror films. Of course, I wasn't getting anything out of it beyond satisfying my own personal curiosities, but one day, a girl DM'd me, a pretty girl, and right off the bat, we connected. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't believe it myself. I mean, finding someone who's into the same thing I am is hard enough, but finding a girl that's also into it, I thought I won the lottery. I wasn't going to be stupid about it. I checked her profile and saw that Anna was mostly your next-door girl, but boy, was she hot. And she was really into all these crazy gore horror films. We spent the next few weeks bonding, talking about all sorts of crazy films, and then those conversations made way for just how crazy life was. And then, if it all wasn't crazy enough, after a month of talking, we both realized that we actually lived in the same city. Anna Boyle had gone to East High while I went to West High. What a coincidence. To be honest, I was already thinking about gathering the courage to ask her for a night out. A movie downtown would be nice, and like classic Anna, that always seemed to be reading my mind. She invited me to a screening of a gore horror movie. I didn't know we had those around. Anna told me it was an underground cinema. A monthly screening ran by a group of passionate archivists who found a rare restored copy of Hamster 2. I was definitely not going to turn down that offer. Hamster 2 was a rare gem. The day of the screening came, and I found myself starting out at an abandoned Victorian home, an old haunted house attraction. The apparent site of the upcoming screening. The main entrance was padlocked shut, but I tried anyway. As expected, it didn't budge. Guess I must have been early. Hey, Chris. I heard a girl call out. It had to be Anna. She was calling me from somewhere. Down here. I saw her now, all too familiar pretty face peeking out from the basement window. Anna, hey. She smiled and explained that the entrance was out back, down a cellar door, then straight down the corridor. Fair enough. In hindsight, I couldn't understand how I could be so stupid. Walked right into a trap. Because of what? A pretty girl. The cellar was actually pretty clean and well lit, which is why I didn't suspect anything. It looked like your typical back entrance, until I got inside, and everything went dark. I woke up, feeling a sharp tingling pain on the back of my head, and then I realized that I was tied up to a chair, hands and feet bound tightly by chained cuffs. In front of me was a camera, and all around me were monitors, showing a live view of me squirming in a chair. Mirror images of me, scared shitless, stared back in horror. Anna stood in front of me with a chainsaw. Anna, I asked in a panic. "What is all this?" "Well, we're watching a movie," said an unknown man's voice behind me. I told you we were watching a restored version of Hamster 2. "This is exactly it," Anna said, with a big smile plastered across her face. And suddenly, a round of applause from behind me. A whole crowd was seated back there. I could feel them. I could hear them laughing and cheering. They were enjoying themselves as they watched me about to get cut up, both live and on screen. I was the afternoon showing. "Anna, you're doing this for a movie?" I asked her out of nowhere. I thought that if I was going to die, I at least deserved to know why. Why was I being punished for my own morbid curiosity? There were other gore movie fans out there, and they didn't get invited to this. What is this? Some kind of satanic cult that loves gore movies? I'd like to at least know that my otherwise boring 18 years of existence actually meant something at the end. That I won't end up as nothing but a pile of bloody guts like my cat. Basically, nothing but useless matter. Trash. Decaying, rot flesh trash. Because, Christian, we like movies. And like you said so yourself, no one else likes movies like we do. So we're here to offer you a deal. A deal. Yes. You see, we worship the movie, an entity that exists beyond the constraints of celluloid and camera lenses, greater than all the space and time in all universes, but ones whose glimpses of we catch only through the depiction of blood and guts projected on screen. I thought that they must be joking, but no. So today, if you choose, can be your initiation day into our little movie club. And all you have to do is give up a limb, a finger, a thumb, an arm. The bigger the appendage, the more respect you will get. And should you choose not to join the movie club, then we'll finish you here, chop you up bit by bit to appease the movie, so we can get another glimpse of her and hopefully have her bestow her presence upon us. Chop off my. I don't need it anymore. It's only brought me trouble so far. The crowd went wild.